Concord, Massachusetts, and is majoring in Regional and Comparative Studies in the Middle East in the School of Foreign Service, with a focus on women's rights in the Middle East. Since her freshman year, she has been involved in GAAP, sexual assault peer educators, and a member of the club rock climbing team, which she will talk about further in her speech. Last fall, she studied abroad in Amman, Jordan, and misses the hummus a lot. During her time at Georgetown, she interned at all the normal SFS places, including on the Hill, at a nonprofit, and at the State Department. During her summers in college, she worked at the opposite of a normal SFS place, a summer camp in New Hampshire. She is a fellow with the Institute for the Study of Diplomacy, doing research on the intersection of sexual violence and terrorism. In her free time, she likes to eat exclusively Italian food and sit on the front lawn on sunny days. Please welcome Emily Belson.
Thank you, Gianna. Pretty much everything I've done in my life, I have my parents to thank for it. And choosing to do a pre-orientation program is just another one on the long list. I never wanted the summer after graduating high school to end. I was excited and terrified to get to Georgetown, but I was savoring every minute of my time with high school friends and without responsibility. But my parents kept pushing me to apply. I was confident that I didn't want to do a pre-orientation because it meant leaving my high school friends early, but they just said, apply and then you can decide later. So I begrudgingly filled out the form and forgot about it until an email from my outdoor education guide informed me that I'd been accepted into Climbing 101. I weighed my options. I would get to move in early, the people on the email chain seemed nice enough, and I always wanted to try climbing, so I decided to go for it. This would end up being one of the defining choices of my Georgetown career. The next thing I knew, I was halfway up a cliff, overlooking the Potomac, half an hour from campus. Compared to my guides and a couple of already passionate climbers on the trip, I was definitely a beginner, but I surprised myself by finishing a climb only one of our guides had been able to do. Georgetown has been making me surprise myself ever since. When you stand at the bottom of a climb and look up, you can try to figure out the best way up, but there are so many ways your plan could fail. A hold could be worse than you expected, or farther away than you'd like, and sometimes you just have to scratch the plan completely and come up with another one on the spot. And you might not be comfortable because no matter how confident you feel, there's always a chance you fall. Doing a new climb is just like the Georgetown experience. In my sophomore year, I declared for a major in Regional and Comparative Studies in the Middle East and Western Europe. I could barely tell it to people without them deciding they were never going to remember it and just calling it something in the SFS. In our apartment in Henley Village, my roommates and I had a whiteboard with weekly trivia questions about ourselves. The week that the question was, what's Belson's major? Someone guessed 4 out of the 8 SFS majors before finally deciding on something in the Middle East. And I said, close enough. Anyway, the time to decide on study abroad came around, and after a lot of unnecessary distress, life crises, and planning to go to Turkey for a bit, I decided to go to Amman, Jordan. Nope, not Oman, or Georgia, as some confused and well-meaning family members thought, but the Hashemite kingdom to the east of Israel, west of Saudi Arabia, and directly south of Syria. My parents were thrilled. There was only one small bump in the road. I'd studied Spanish before college and Italian for my first 2 years at Georgetown, but I didn't speak a word of Arabic. Literally didn't even know the alphabet. But I studied hard that summer using an app on my phone made for children, and then off I went. My semester at Amman was similar to my experience at Georgetown, uncomfortable at times, but in a way that made me feel like I could grow, not like I was drowning. I look back on it now and smile because it was the best decision that I could have made. The whole summer, before I left for Amman, I was terrified. My first instinct walking out of the airport was that I had made a terrible mistake. Maybe all the people who told me that I was crazy were right. I was crazy. Flash forward 2 months, and I'm having a conversation with a taxi driver in local Arabic, trying to ignore his terrifying disregard for any traffic rules. I tell him that I'm a student studying Aluga al-Arabiya, the Arabic language. I'm from America, and that I'm 2 years old. My friends in the back said they'd never been prouder of me. And that's when I knew I wasn't totally crazy to come here. Although my friends who studied abroad in Barcelona probably didn't have to worry about running out of water on Mondays, the day before the weekly delivery, they also probably didn't have 60-cent falafel sandwiches. The first week we arrived, our good friend Anas at the corner falafel shop was already teaching Arabic to the beginners, like how to order a falafel sandwich the right way, and refusing to let us meekly nod yes when asked if we wanted hummus. Anas was just like our Arabic professor, who made us present exclusively in Arabic a month and a half into our time there, and just like my professors at Georgetown, who refused to accept anything but the best from us. For example, some of you may have heard about Professor Elizabeth Arsenault, if you ask a government major or SFS student who their favorite professor is. I took international law with her last semester. 65 of us walked in on the first day with various expectations for the class. Her reputation precedes her as a difficult and exceptional professor. After everyone settled down, she called on someone. "Sarah, please start reading the syllabus." Sarah looked up, confused, but began to read, while the rest of us assumed that she'd taken a class with Arsenault before. As she continued to call on each of us by name throughout the class, we slowly realized that she knew every single one of our 65 names. We learned later on in the semester that she also has a special talent for being able to tell when people are daydreaming. It's a bad idea not to do your homework for a professor who cold calls everyone, even if it's in a 100-page legal case on the law of the sea. Arsenault is only one of the many professors here who have extremely high expectations. On my last paper for former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright's class, she wrote in the spelling/grammar section of my grading sheet, "You missed a comma in the second to last sentence of the analysis section." Looking up from the bottom of the climb that this Georgetown experience has been, I had no idea what I was going to do, but I'm sure many of you already have your whole route planned out. But no matter how much you plan, Georgetown will always surprise you with the opportunities it creates, and you will always surprise yourself with the risks you're willing to take. I'm not ready to make it to the end of this climb, because no matter how exhausting and difficult it has been at times, Georgetown has given me the most transformative and eye-opening experience I could have asked for from college. A lot of things changed, like how I dropped Western Europe from my major, partially to make Arabic part of my major and partially just to make it more manageable to say. But some of the moves were exactly the same as I imagined them from the bottom of the climb, like still living 3 feet away from Lauren, who I met on my first day of climbing 101. If I could wish for anything, it would be 4 more years at this challenging, exciting, and thrilling place, and you are all so lucky to have the opportunity to choose that. Good luck and Hoya Saxa.